What if it's all about Jimmy Uso? Everyone's talking about Jey Uso. He broke out of the bloodline's shadow, started a solo career, got a major push, and now he's coming for the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. WWE is clearly building an underdog story around him, and it seems like everything is leading to Jey making history at WrestleMania. But what if we're looking the wrong way? What if this whole story is actually about Jimmy Uso?
Yeet!
Jey has come a long way. His match against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam showed that the company is ready to treat him like a main eventer. After that, he moved to Raw, got a solid push, won the Intercontinental title by defeating Braun Breaker, and became, alongside his father Rikishi, only the second father-son duo to hold the IC title, the first being Mr. Perfect and Curtis Axel. 28 days later, Jey lost the title back to Braun Breaker due to interference from other Samoan wrestlers. That was Jey Uso's first ever singles title. Since then, he's defeated several top names, and now he's going after Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship. But let's think, is Jey really supposed to win? Right now, Gunther is one of the most dominant World Heavyweight Champions in modern WWE history. He held the Intercontinental Championship for a record-breaking 666 days, finally losing it to Sami Zayn at WrestleMania 40. Now, as World Heavyweight Champion, his second dominant reign continues, over 240 days. Jey has already faced him earlier this year on Saturday night's main event, where he tried but failed to win the title. So a WrestleMania rematch isn't just emotional, it has real history behind it. On the latest episode of Raw, Gunther tied Jey to the ropes and made him watch as Jimmy Uso was beaten bloody, proving just how ruthless he can be. In recent WWE storylines, Gunther directly threatened Jimmy, demanding that he convince Jey to back off from the title match. When Jimmy refused, it marked a moral turning point. Despite betraying his brother in the past, Jimmy still stood by his family, and now he's paying the price. And yes, someone has to dethrone Gunther, but does Jey have the energy to make that moment truly legendary? If WWE decides to give the title to Jey, it would just be another feel-good underdog moment. But if Jey loses, his story isn't over. In fact, it opens the door to something even more compelling. That's where Jimmy comes in. After the bloodline collapsed, Jimmy was left with nothing. He betrayed Jey, but it didn't help him at all. In the end, he lost his family, his status, and any real storyline. Right now, he's just being used as a side character floating around on SmackDown or Raw with no clear purpose. But WWE loves unexpected plot twists. Let's say Jey loses to Gunther at WrestleMania. Gunther cements his legacy, but everyone starts wondering who's finally going to beat him. If Gunther wins at WrestleMania, his next opponent should be someone not only strong, but fresh in terms of storytelling. And that's where Jimmy Uso comes back into the picture. He may have been forgotten over the past year, but those are exactly the kind of wrestlers who make the most shocking comebacks. Then on Raw, after WrestleMania, Jimmy Uso's music hits. He walks down to the ring and says, "Jey tried and failed. Maybe it's my turn?" In that moment, WWE flips the entire narrative. Everyone expected Jey to be the hero, but suddenly his brother, who no one took seriously, steps into the spotlight. Why Jimmy? From a booking perspective, Jimmy beating Gunther is a bold but fascinating move. First, it would be completely unexpected. No one sees Jimmy as a real championship contender, so if he wins, it shocks the audience. Second, it creates a new conflict between the brothers. Jey spent an entire year proving he could stand on his own, only to have his brother steal the moment of glory. This sets up a long-awaited Jey versus Jimmy match at SummerSlam for the World Heavyweight title. Third, it makes the end of Gunther's reign totally unpredictable. When a dominant champion like him loses to an underdog who wasn't supposed to, it always maximizes the surprise factor. How could this go down? Let's say WWE decides to give Jimmy a real push. He challenges Gunther, and the match is set for Backlash. Everyone assumes Gunther will destroy him, but the match doesn't go as expected. Jimmy doesn't just survive. He outsmarts Gunther. He uses every mistake, focuses on speed, agility, and ring psychology. At the climax of the match, Gunther goes for his final powerbomb, but Jimmy escapes, lands a super kick, then another, and finally hits the Uso splash. 1, 2, 3. Jimmy Uso is the new World Heavyweight Champion. What happens next? This opens up multiple directions. Jey versus Jimmy. Jey fought his heart out and lost, while his brother swoops in and wins the big one. That's prime fuel for a deeply personal feud. Gunther's heel evolution, losing the title to a weaker opponent, gives WWE a chance to take his character in new directions and dive deeper into his psychology. Jimmy finally breaks out. Instead of just being Jey's brother, Jimmy gets his own arc. his own identity, and possibly the biggest spotlight of his career. The most likely outcome? A heel turn by Jey Uso on Jimmy. It would blow fans' minds, and Jey would get even more attention. It would be just like Daniel Bryan's yes or no dynamic, except with yeet and no yeet. In conclusion, it may seem like this is Jey's story, but WWE loves misdirection. Could Jimmy Uso really be the one to dethrone Gunther? It's hard to say, but if WWE chooses this path, it could be one of the year's most shocking moments. Both brothers get a push. One becomes the most hated heel in years, and the other becomes world champion.